God, I love this drama, this energy. June 17th, 2023, the debut of AEW Collision, the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. It's me, it's the G.O.C. And I'll say that to say this because I tell it like it is. Another special edition of Story Time. One man, unique, unedited, unscripted, raw dog for you, the fans, with the cold open. I arrived to the venue that day with a black eye, and more frustratingly for me, a voice that kept coming and going all day. The doctor said it was a reaction to my body fighting against what is happening to me. Business is about to pick up. I was in Chicago to lend my voice to the debut of AEW's new show, Collision. But I really shouldn't have been there at all. My eye was swollen shut. I'd flown in from Florida with a concussion, and I was, for a lack of a better term, shaken. As our thoughts and prayers go out to good old JR. 50 greatest calls from 50 years in the business, as we read along and go through this together live here on the channel together for the very first time. The night before, I'd gotten up to use the bathroom, tripped over the CPAP machine in my room, and knocked myself out when I fell. When I woke up on the bedroom floor, I crawled into bed with my face bloodied. In my confused state, I got back under the sheets instead of calling for help, which could have been real bad for me if things had gone sideways. I'm not gonna lie. I got a fright when I woke up, my vision blurred, my sheets covered in blood. But I wanted to make my flight to Chicago. Even though my head was hurting so bad it made me ill. I suspected then I had a concussion, which was later confirmed. But I didn't want to let anyone down by not being where I gave my word I'd be. I wanted to do what I had always done and be what I'd always been, which is reliable. Anyone who has been hired by me in the past knows that being reliable is the first thing I ask of the talent. So I always felt I needed to model that same trait too, and I have, sometimes to my detriment. So I caught my flight. But the more the minutes passed, the more I knew the shot to my head had shaken me up pretty bad. I was weak, unsteady on my feet, but I still wanted to be the man my parents raised. The man the boys would admire. The man who wouldn't let anyone down. I guess even though I'm 71 and 5 decades in the business, I'm still trying to be the man that shows everyone he's meant to be there. God bless you, Jim Ross, because if he is for us, no one else can be against us. Stay emotionally, mentally, physically, and especially spiritually fit in what's going on in this country in 2024 as a little sidebar here. Especially what's happened over these last few weeks. And you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't have to get into that. We're here to distract from that. Go back and check out the last episode that was about 25 minutes long that I just put up. I was full of piss and vinegar, entertainment personified, and we talk about everything from pillar to post and coast to coast. I also knew this would probably be the last new debut show I'd ever work. Over the course of my career, I have been blessed to be heard on all of the big shows that wrestling fans today hold dear. I've worked across the world in tiny halls and massive arenas. I have been cued in by some of the best minds that have ever been a part of this business. I have pulled myself back up onto the horse after all kinds of sickness and personal tragedies, but as I arrived in Chicago, I felt my world was crumbling around me. I'm writing this only a few weeks later, and my kids and grandkids are worried about me living alone. Worried about me working so hard after my cancer battle this year and last. I know I've run myself dangerously low in trying to travel to the shows every week. But I convinced myself that I'm John Wayne. I'm going to saddle up and mosey on down to the K-Rally, aha. No? Too much? John Wayne, the Duke. That I know what I'm doing. Because he's John Wayne. Because I've been happy. I've been sick. I've been hurt, and I've been on top of the world, and I've done it all while sitting in a black seat, wearing a black hat, and talking to the wrestling world. I've been lead. I've been color. I've been host. I have fired and hired in and out. And looking back on all of it for this book has meant the world to me. But it's also made me rethink my life now that I'm moving toward the inevitable. I had this dream I can't shake, and it's me being found dead, alone, in a Marriott. I've always been concerned about dying on the road, but the older I get, the more prevalent the dream becomes, because I feel drawn to the road, because I never really learned to stay at home, especially now that there's nobody waiting for me when I get there. So I travel and fill up my calendar with things to do and places to be. Places where I feel useful. Places where I know people who are just like me will be waiting to put on a show. And my dream of being found out there instead of at home grows stronger. Looping over and over in my head. I try to forget, but it's in there on replay. Then I book yet into another Marriott. I don't want to let anyone down. I don't want to look weak. So I make my way out to the main event of the new show. Guided down the ramp by a stagehand so I don't fall again. And then as I open my mouth, trying not to get sick from my concussion, my voice trembles. Hoarse and weak. The second I hear myself, I know something has to change in my life. I'm not going away, but I know my time is shorter than longer here, and I need to do something to extend my time. We're all looking to extend our time. That's the reality of it. I'm under the weather. I apologize for my voice. I'm under the weather, but I wouldn't miss this for the world because I love this. Along this journey, I've been forced to change, been glad to evolve. I took orders I didn't like, and I passed on life-changing news that I loved. I have been the good guy and the bad guy, and even when, maybe especially when, I felt out of my comfort zone. I went at the job, at hand, even harder, with more tenacity than I thought possible, and a small town boy who's seen more of the world than most people alive. I came from a farm surrounded by nobody and ended up engulfed in seas of people. I'm flawed. I've been wrong, but I promise you I've learned and relearned all the hard lessons a person should. I know what I am, and I'm finally okay with that and what that entails. I can relate to that, Jim Ross. I certainly can relate. But I knew after I had been helped to the back, I found it hard to lift my head, that something had to change. So I made the call to take myself off the road. Now, anyone who knows anything about me knows that if I'm tagging out, it means there's something very wrong. To Tony Khan's credit, he told me to take all the time I need. For once, I checked my ego and did what was right for my well-being. Well, I'm writing this a couple of months after the debut of Collision. And strangely, I am also currently in contract negotiations with AEW to see what might happen next. Now remember, this is just a couple of years ago. We're in 2024, halfway through, going into 2025. Jim Ross is speaking here from 2022 in the debut of AEW Collision. Let that marinate. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Ponder that. I've enjoyed my time with AEW and would like to continue in some way, but I do need to be out on the road every week at 71. I mean, does he really need that? Whatever they want to do is fine by me. I've never been in contract talks before where I was so relaxed about whatever the outcome might be. The first few weeks after the fall were rough. I wasn't able to walk without pain, and even getting out of bed has been pure misery for me. My eye didn't open for a fortnight, and the open wound from my cancer surgery was sore as hell after 2. So I guess I was just lying there in a really dark hole mentally. in plenty of pain physically, and thinking about my life more broadly, as we all do. And some of you that are listening to me right now are doing the same thing. A lot of you, most of you, including myself. So we can all relate to this. Every single one of us. Whatever happens in my contract, you guys know when you'll read this, but I don't as I write this. Remember, 2022. I'm okay with doing less, traveling less, and living a little more. Airports are stressful nowadays, and having to navigate the tension, the noise, the delays, and the overcrowding isn't something that appeals to me on a week-to-week basis anymore. Plus, they try to basically fondle and molest you to TSA to get on a fucking plane, man. Who would do that? Give him a lot of credit, man. Good old JR. A slobber knocker, if you will, because business is definitely about to pick up. Especially here on Chaos Corner. I think I've done enough over that 5 decades on the road. Maybe it's time for me to take a more part-time approach. I will never leave wrestling as I love it too much. But maybe I will give less of my time to it. I have no idea. All I know is I just want to live longer. And that I'm at the crossroads of my life. I've done everything I can do in wrestling, but I have done everything I can do with my daughters, but have I done everything I can do with my daughters or grandkids? I lost my place because of the serious nature of what good old JR is talking about. It's an unbelievable read. So I'm ready to wrap this episode up, but I am coming back with more. Not only for me, but for you. That's how dedicated I am. Nostalgia just ain't what it used to be. I have amnesia and deja vu at the same time. I think I've forgotten this before. I know that wrestling fans will understand when I make the adjustments that I feel I need to make in my life and maybe come back and see them less. When I do show up again, and I will, I might stumble a time or two like I always have. And I might misspeak a couple or 3 times like I always have. But those words and sentences they hear will come from a man who has always had passion for his job, that drove him through the hardest times and carried him through the greatest. I'll say that to say this, because I tell it like it is. Come on back. I'm not going anywhere yet. An unbelievable read. If you haven't gone out and got in this book, I encourage you to do so. I know that I'm a little off my rocker as usual, maybe even more so today, and I love it. Don't you dare miss it.